Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Singer and Kelly Fox.
Hello, and welcome to Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. This is Kelly Fox, and we are talking Step 9, Intention, tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about how self-doubt decreases as we live more intentionally, and I'm excited to get this conversation going. Terry Sarah is my beautiful co-host, is not here with us right now, so we will keep going, and I will introduce you to our guest coach. She has been on the show before several times. We always love to have her here. Please welcome Dionetta Hudzinski.
Thanks, Kelly. It's great to be here, even with all the problems we had with technology. But we're here.
Hey, we made it work.
We made it work.
We made it work. All right, well, Dionetta, why don't you remind the audience who it is you get to serve and what it is you get to do?
Okay, so I'm an empowerment coach to nurses, caregivers, and other helpers, and I help them to either recover from burnout, prevent burnout, and see the possibilities and opportunities for their career.
They are an important group of individuals that we definitely need to be at their best while taking care of us.
Right, and they need the support.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that any kind of caregiver, it's, like as a mom, it's important for me to take care of myself so that I can take care of my kids in the way that I want to, so that I can show up in the way that I want to. And that takes us to intention, right? Because we have to,
Yep.
or we don't have to, but we choose to live intentionally or set an intention about how we want to show up in the different areas of our life. And as we do so, I definitely believe that decreases self-doubt. But before we get ahead of ourselves, first, let's start with, Dionetta, what does intention mean to you?
Intention means to me, I'm willing to take action. I'm willing to change my language and how I say things, how I talk to myself. It's how I want to show up in the world.
Yeah, I agree. And my beautiful co-host, Terry Sarah, is here now. So, Terry, how you doing?
Well, I ate my dinner really, really fast so I could get here and be with you and Dionetta, so I'm here.
Great.
Well, we are glad to have you. So when we talk about intention,
girls with me. I was just saying that I have two of your daughters with me, and they wanted to go to dinner. So.
Yes. It's Nana time. Dionetta, as you were talking about intention, how do you support your clients with being more intentional or seeing these changes that they're making as a practice that they're intentionally practicing each day?
Well, number one is we talk about the words that they use. So, if they're using words that are disempowering, then we work on language. We also work on being in the present moment and not worrying about what happened in the past and not looking too far into the future. So those are the key, I think, the key points, and how they want to show up. You know, how do you want to show up to work? How do you want to show up for your family? How do you want to show up to that gathering in the evening? We can be intentional about all of that.
Yeah.
And just being willing to, you know, take action and living intentionally. I mean, it's kind of like you can't use intention without using intention.
Right.
It's hard to define it without using the word intention.
Yeah.
But once the language starts to change, once they start doing things like, you know, I can't do that, or it's hard, or it's difficult, when they change that language to maybe challenging rather than I can't or it's difficult, and realize that they can do things, and then make it baby steps so that they're not looking at some big intention that it, you know, may take a long time to achieve or whatever. It's staying small, making that intention, because I've heard, you know, some people say they make an intention statement for the whole year, one statement, and it's like, okay, but when I'm coaching people, I want them to look at different aspects of their life and how do they want to show up to those different aspects. I had one client who every time she met with her family at a family gathering or whatever, she was always the brunt of the joke, and either was picked on or ignored. And we were talking about intentions, and she said, how do I intentionally show up? And so we talked about it and, you know, what she saw was possible. And number one was to really voice how uncomfortable she was. And and then making the intention of I am willing to practice seeing the innocence in my family members. And then putting a limit on how long she put up with it. I mean, if they you know, when she said her, you know, I'm uncomfortable with how I'm being treated or how you're speaking to me, is the other intention was that she would just get up and leave.
Yeah, set a boundary, right?
Yep, setting a boundary. So she was willing to set a boundary of how long she would stay in that circumstance. And she wrote it down. She put it in her pocket because I, you know, said put it in your pocket so that when you feel that pocket, it reminds you of what your intention is. That worked so well that she now can have gatherings with either individuals or with the whole family and not feel uncomfortable. And they treat her better because she set the boundary. And she actually did walk out one time. And so they knew she was serious.
Yeah.
So it decreased her self-doubt because she doubted whether she would have the courage to speak up and be able to have the courage to walk out if things didn't change.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's powerful. It's really powerful. And it's individual. So, whatever the circumstance is, is looking at, how do you build an intention of how you want to show up to that gathering or that event.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that story. I can relate with her a little. I think, setting boundaries is definitely a step of being intentional. It's saying, okay, this is how I'm going to show up, and this is how I'm going to allow others around me to treat me, And if they're not willing to, abide by that boundary that I've set, then this is how I intend, or this is how I'm going to show up then, so that it's not a reaction, right? It's like, no, this is already set out. This is how it's going to play. So you don't have to be like second guessing yourself. Should I go? Should I not? Should I say something? Should I not? It's already been decided, right? And then you just act according to those decisions. I love that. Yeah, I think that as we do the things that we have committed, we make a commitment, we fulfill that commitment, it always increases or decreases our self-doubt, since that's what we're talking about tonight. It always decreases our self-doubt because it increases the amount we can trust ourselves, because we know that when we say something, we mean it. And I think it also increases our trustworthiness because others know that when we say it, we mean it.
Right.
And so I love that. Terry, how about you?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm driving in the car. I like the idea of setting situational and circumstantial intentions. It's kind of what you're talking about, where you're going into a specific circumstance and you want to set an intention about how you're going to show up and what your boundaries are. And I think that's great. And I think this also overarching intentions are good as well, because if you set an intention to always be in alignment with your values, and that's your intention to be willing to practice being in alignment with your values, that overarching intention can really then support the circumstantial intentions as well. So I see the value in doing both. I do set daily intentions. I'm going to let you guys out so that you're not daily intentions, because that helps me then with what helps me with the the circumstances for the day. And as I've been recuperating and recovering from being sick, that's helped me to listen to my body. It's helped me to be in tune with my surroundings, and especially to recognize my level of energy, so that I can listen to my body and I can show up and be present. And also I can go home and take a nap because my body's telling me that I'm tired. And resting is an important thing for me to do at that moment. So I think I started writing daily intentions in my gratitude journal, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Up to that point, I wasn't using them so much on a daily basis, but just as an overarching way I wanted to show up. One was that I wanted to be in alignment with my values and my thoughts, words, and actions. Another one that I fall back on a lot because it makes a lot of sense to me is that I'm willing to practice being compassionate, honest, and accountable. And those things I've internalized so that I can utilize those when I'm in those circumstances where my intentional actions really make a difference in my overall being. And I find intentions and living intentionally in alignment with those intentions is probably one of the most empowering practices that I have. And I love sharing with my clients because I also think it empowers them. Like you're talking about, to be courageous, it empowers them. To be reflective, it empowers them to be in alignment. It just, it empowers you when you're talking about your being, how you show up, how you react or don't react, how you, your thoughts, the words that you say, the actions that you engage in are all tied to those intentions. They can be specific and they can be overarching. They can be your guideposts. They can, for living, and they can be your strength and empowerment to get through situations. So I think that intentions, being the antidote to expectations, really are powerful, and they can change. And just that one thing, that one practice of intentionally living according to your values can change your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that because intention is the antidote to expectations, it changes it from other people having control over you because you want them to act in a certain way or expect them to act in a certain way, to how am I going to show up?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the empowerment comes, is changing it from not expecting other people to, treat you kindly or whatever, caringly, but how are you going to show up? And
it's the accountability piece, don't you think?
Exactly, accountability. And how are you going to respond? Because you don't want to react. Reaction is something that, it's kind of an innate thing that, we do without even thinking. And when we react, many times it's probably not the best response.
Yeah, probably
so
for sure.
Respond, yeah, I mean, it's like when we respond, it means that we've really thought it out and we've thought about how are we going to respond to a certain situation.
Or are we going to respond? I found that just being quiet sometimes is the most powerful response,
Yeah, not saying anything.
Yeah.
Not reacting, not responding. I found it really powerful when I started going to art shows, openings for different artists around town, and many times I would go by myself. And I felt kind of uncomfortable at first because I'm kind of a, introvert and, stand in the corner and, if I know somebody, then, I'm comfortable talking to them. So I made an intention that I was willing to start a conversation with 2 new people. And that's all I had to do all evening was start a conversation with 2 people. And empowering, because I got to know a lot of different people. And it got easier and easier to talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we step out of our comfort zone and take those risks, it becomes easier to step out. And it started to become part of your comfort zone to talk to new people, right? It started to become easier for you, and you could trust yourself more in those situations. And And so that self-doubt decreased. I think that, especially with me, trust is such a huge thing. So I live in the realm of self-doubt a lot. And so a tool that I use is, other than the tool of intention, is to document all the times that I was able to trust myself in the way of acknowledgments. So writing down my acknowledgments, acknowledging myself for the times that I could trust myself or I did trust myself, and that makes it easier for me to continue trusting myself and trusting myself more, which is my overarching intention, which is today I'm willing to practice trusting myself more. So in every situation, I'm looking at, okay, how can I trust myself more in this situation? How can I step into this, trusting that I know what I know, trusting that I'm a kind, loving person, trusting, that whatever it might be that situation requires. Trusting that I can step into it, I can do it. And that definitely supports me stepping out of that realm of self-doubt, and it decreases and my confidence grows and I'm able to trust myself more easily. And so I feel like, acknowledgments are a great tool to use along with your intention. I feel like they really go hand in hand, where you have an intention that you're practicing, and then you make sure that you're acknowledging yourself for all of the times that you're practicing that intention, all those actions you're taking to practice that intention, and then it strengthens the whole process.
I totally
the
agree.
Synchronicity between those is awesome. I mean, it's just, it works together. In Fearless Living, we call it the 4 no's, and they just really, the anecdotes for those work together seamlessly. And so when we're not having expectations and we're setting intentions, and we're not complaining, but we're showing gratitude, and we're not beating ourselves up, and we're acknowledging when we step out of our comfort zone, and then we're being accountable for our time by not having excuses. Those 4 anecdotes to those disempowering, what do you call them? Criteria, I guess, of expectations, excuses, complaining, and beating yourself up. Those are all disempowering. They're, behaviors that don't build trust, that don't build compassion, that don't build integrity and alignment. And so by learning those 4 anecdotes, which we're talking about one of them tonight, they just work together seamlessly. And so once you started to use all 4 of them as a daily practice, which is an intention, it really just it changes and transforms the way that you see yourself, the way you show up in space, and the way you treat others, and the way you treat yourself. And that's why we, all of us, Dionetta, Kelly, and I, have a passion for sharing these with our clients and with anyone who's willing to listen, because we know the transformative power of practicing these tools.
I totally agree in that those 4 anecdotes, or what do I want to say? Yeah, antidotes for the 4 disempowering things that we do a lot of before we get into fearless living, which is the complaining, beating yourself up, having excuses, and then expectations.
Yeah.
that's almost like the core. Once you get those, it's kind of like the core belief system, I guess, of fearless living, of, you know, how we change ourselves and how we change, and how we change others.
Yeah. I love teaching. I love teaching those. Yeah, love teaching those.
Yeah,
and then taking people
really
into
dramatic.
And then taking them into their will of fear and their will of freedom, because I think those are proprietary to fearless living. A lot of coaches and programs talk about gratitude and accountability and that, but this is the proprietary core of fearless living, is your will of fear and your will of freedom. And those come after. That's next.
Yeah, and they become proactive behaviors.
Absolutely. Yep.
So
yes. Well, ladies, we are down to the bottom of our time together. It has been awesome being in this conversation with you. Dionetta, we are always so grateful for you and the time and the wisdom that you share with us here at Fearless Generations. And we'd like to give you this time to share how our listeners can get a hold of you, or if there's anything that you would like to let them know about something you have coming up, or whatever that might be.
So they can find me on Facebook under Dionetta M. Hudzinski. That's my my primary Facebook page, and then I also have a website, Choose Differently lifecoaching.com.
Awesome.
I think you put an HTTPS or something in front of it. But I think if you just typed in Choose Differently lifecoaching.com, it should come up.
Yes. Yes, for sure. And feel free to put a link to your website in the Facebook group, Get Fearless at Any Age with Fearless Generations. We would love for our listeners to have easy access to you. Dionetta is also on the guest coach page of our website, fearlessgenerations.org. If you go under the podcast tab, there is a page there for information on all our guest coaches, and Dionetta is there as well, so you can find more information about her there too. But yeah, I've loved having this conversation with you tonight, having you back on the show. It's been a little while, so I'm glad that we were able to get you on. And we want to remind all of the listeners that the 12 Steps to Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. If you would like to know more about Fearless Living, please go check it out at fearlessliving.org. You can find out everything about Terry and I, as I said, on fearlessgenerations.org. You can find out all the past 10 seasons of the podcast are there, as well as guest coach information, but also information on our group program, Stepping Towards Freedom, that goes through each one of these steps 1 month at a time, as well as our upcoming retreat, which goes through these 12 steps in 2 days. And so it's an amazing workshop that we are turning into an even amazinger retreat, September 5th through the 8th. Yeah. And so if you'd like more information on that, you can find it there as well. And Dionetta will be at the retreat with us, so we're super excited to have her joining us. And there's also just more information about Terry and I if you would like to get to know more. We also have a YouTube channel. Go check that out, where you can hear the podcast there as well if you prefer to listen on YouTube. So thank you, ladies, for being here with me. Please join us again next week. And until then, be fearless.
Be fearless. Good night, Dionetta.
Be fearless. Good night.
We are audiostack.ai.
Combining AI writing, the best synthetic voices,
with production and delivery.
Be it ads, podcasts, or VOs for video.
Just like this ad. How would you utilize AI audio? For free.
Go to audiostack.ai/contest.
Give us just a few details.
And you could replace this spot and be heard by millions.
See webpage for T's and C's. audiostack.ai/contest.
Morning people wake up for peace and quiet. McDonald's breakfast people, we wake up for the sweet rush of getting that warm, delicious breakfast right before it ends.
Be a McDonald's breakfast person with a sausage McMuffin with egg. Get 2 for just $6 and pair it with a $2 medium iced coffee or frozen drink. Order ahead in the app to save time. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer. Single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.